Hi, and welcome to The Returned. Here's to everything we'll discover together. Hi, and welcome to The Returned. Today, I am excited to welcome a truly special guest, Dyana, known as the Bird Whisperer. Her story is a testament to the power of friendship that bonds and the extraordinary signs that loved ones can send us even after death. When Dyana's beloved friend was approaching her final days, they made a heartfelt pact. If her friend could find a way, she'd reconnect with her as a bird. What unfolded next is a story of hope, faith, and subtle language Spirit uses to reach us. Get ready to open your heart to a world where love truly never ends and a message comes to us on wings, sometimes quite literally. Thank you, Dyana, for being here, and welcome to The Returned.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Dyana, can you share the story of how you and your friend made your pact between yourselves as she would return as a bird?
Sure. So it was, I think, less of a pact and more of me asking and her going, okay. So I was visiting her as she was nearing the end, and she had people coming through her house, and our relationship was such that, we live in a sort of a community that's very um proper and appropriate, and I'm not always those things. And so she loved that I would ask her questions that nobody would ever ask her. And so anyway, I waited for people to leave her house because I knew that they would be horrified with what I was going to say. And we were sitting down, and I actually didn't know at the time that she was as close as she was. I knew she was close, but I didn't know she was that close. And I sat down and she kind of said, "Oh, what's up?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "I've been thinking about how I want you to come visit me after you go, and I want to talk to you about it." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And so she had two things. She had this one bird that used to tap on all her windows, like relentlessly, constantly. And she would just talk about it all the time. And it would just go from window to window, like it wanted in. It was like a thing. And then she also had these wild turkeys that she would feed every day, twice a day. And they'd come and wait for her. And she would go, she'd stop whatever she was doing, and she would I have a video on TikTok about it, and she'd stop what she was doing and she would go and feed them, and she would make noises. She'd make sounds and all of the things. So I said, okay, I want you to come back as a bird, but wait, hear me out. I don't want it to be just a bird because I'm not going to know if it's you. It has to be tapping bird, but it has to be tapping like in a way that is unmistakable. Like I need it to be where there's no question, where it's obvious, kind of like your birds do, and they knock. And I said, I need it to be like quintessentially Christine. And she went, I'll see what I can do. So I said, well,
Right?
I guess that's all I guess that's all I can ask. And so that was just, so I guess less of a pact and her of, just her sort of doing what she did, which was like, okay, this is Dyana doing what Dyana does again, but let me see if I can help her as I always do. So that's how
wonderful.
that transpired.
I actually seen the videos on TikTok, and that is how I found you. And I've seen a lot of the videos, and I was blown away. We'll also have some of your footage on this video, which is really, this touches people. This is very touching for people who've lost loved ones. So this is really extra special. And it is no there is no doubt in my mind that that is Christine. Not one
Yeah.
doubt.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah.
And, and this is not how I live my life, like talking
Hmm.
to butterflies and dragonflies and hummingbirds and everything. And once I asked her and once we talked about it, I forgot about it until I didn't forget about it,
Hmm. And
until
then
I
it was
remembered,
unmistakable. Did you have any type of spiritual background, Diana?
To some degree. So the only thing that I had exposure was my dog, who was weirdly human, and I'm married to a retired veterinarian who is a
Mm,
man of science. He's not woo-woo at all.
okay.
And when my dog Max passed away, he visited for several months in formats that were shocking. And my husband, he moving blankets, people that would visit, because he used to, like, when people would visit a sleepover, he would sometimes jump on the bed and walk on their back. He would do that even after. My sister stayed over right after he passed and said, he walked on my back. And so under the blanket, it got to the point, I'm not even joking you, it got to the point where I would go, he would be tugging doing all the things that he did in life. And I would go, Max, enough, I'm trying to sleep. Like, it was so, and my husband, who is not that guy, saw him a few times. And I woke up and he said, I don't believe in this, but I'm telling you, I got up to go to the bathroom and he walked down the ramp. He goes, I almost petted him until I realized he's not there. So it was absolute insanity. And my husband said, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you I don't believe, but I know what I saw multiple times. I know what I saw. So that was and it was one of those things where, again, it was undeniable, but I don't
That is
live
so
in that
special.
state. It was beyond special. I mean,
Oh,
it was truly, truly unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So that was I mean, and these are big ones, but other than that, in my sort of day-to-day life,
I understand. So it's a
no.
big deal for you, and it's also really a big deal for you to be on talking about it as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Thank
because
you.
it's not part of my day-to-day, but it is so clear that it's not over when we think it's over, that I want other people to get the benefit of the stories, because it's a miracle when it happens.
And that's why it happened to you. Yep. So that you could tell.
It was
Hmm.
so I could tell, so I could share it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's
deeply
so
believe it helped
beautiful.
people heal. I think it helps people
Absolutely.
heal, and I
And it
think it
helped you.
helps. Oh, beyond, beyond, because I've always been terrified of death, terrified,
Are
and
you
I'm not
now?
not as not in the same way, because I deeply believe, do I think about the process of death and I'm scared of it? Yes, I don't want, anything to be, but in terms of death itself, no, because I just know, I just know, I just know.
Thank you,
I'm in the
Christine, for
know now.
that.
And I can
Right?
thank Christine for that. I mean, when
Mhm.
my dog came back, for some reason I viewed it differently. I don't know. I think because I viewed him, I don't have kids, so in my mind, like, it was my son in a way, kind of, and for whatever reason, I didn't take away the message of it continues on. I don't know why, but with Christine, as a peer, as a friend, I walked away with a very different message.
Wow. Would you take us through the first signs of experiences you had after she passed? I
Yeah,
should say after she transitioned. I actually
after
like
she
that word
transitioned.
better. I like that
Yeah.
better.
Yeah,
Mhm.
after she transitioned. So it was probably a couple of weeks after, and I was on a long drive, and we had about a week after she passed away, a bluebird that got into the house somehow, can't tell you how. And I didn't connect the two things at all. So then about a week later, I'm on a long drive and I decide to have this extended conversation with Christine because I'm by myself. And I thought, I mean, I'm not talking to anybody anyway. No one's here. Let me just. So I started to have this long conversation, one direction, and just ask her about life up there. How does it work? If she's with her family, can she also be with me? Just asking her for like logistics of it. And I said, I was driving on the freeway, and I remember this so well. And I said, hey, I don't want to be a pain, but I do want to just gently remind you of the conversation we had. And then I stopped myself and I said, don't do it now, because I don't want you to like go against my windshield and be smashed. And I said, don't do it while I'm on the freeway. I said, but I just kind of want to remind you of the conversation just in case you get a chance. That would be great. And again, forgot about it. Got home, nothing, but told my husband about the drive and that, had a conversation with Chris, whatever. And then the next morning, my husband yells for me, the very next morning. And he yells for me. And there is this female bluebird sitting at the glass window, staring into the window. I mean, peering into the window, staring, and just like hurling herself at the window, like 2 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, to like tap it really hard. And it's doing it, and it's not letting up. And we've been in this house 6 years and have never one time had that. Never. And it was, I just saw her and she just goes right up to the glass. Now, mind you, I have 2 dogs, and she obviously knew the dogs, but so she went right up to the other side of the glass and right by their dog door, and she's just peering in. And as soon as I saw her, like my body filled with whatever, I don't even know what you would call it. And I knew. I knew. And I immediately said, Chris, I know that's you. Lost it, started crying. And I thought that was it. And that was just the beginning. It went on all day. And then we ended up putting a chair out there because I didn't want her to hurt herself because she was new at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Barring the body. But I could see and feel her response, like, oh my God, you see me? You see this? You understand? This is, you know what I mean? And I could feel her energy and excitement. So she would do it more. And she'd throw herself against the thing and tapping and knocking. And then she'd go window to window to window to door and over the front door, behind, all over the house. And so we put chairs out there because I didn't want her to like hurt herself, and we put soap on the glass because I thought, well, what if it is bird fighting? Like we addressed all the things, and that was just the beginning. And she went from tapping to knocking to hopping to dancing to watching to flying back and forth to, and then of course, more as we built communication over the course of months. I don't know if you saw those videos of her responding.
Yep.
And it just
I sure did.
right? And then when she introduced me to her mate, who I call Nick, who I think is her ex-husband, who passed away 10 years ago. And it just went from there, and it evolved, and the communication evolved, and the emotion evolved, and it became its own sort of it evolved into a different relationship, but a relationship nonetheless.
And how long did your relationship last? How long is she still around, or?
So let's see. So she started actually coming right after she passed. She came, it was June, July. She came for like maybe 6 weeks, every day, all day, throughout the day. Then she left in early July, and I thought that was the end, and I mourned her departure
Mm-hmm.
again. And then she came back suddenly this February and was coming 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times a day until May, June. And then her family, everybody has come every day since, oh, see, there they are. They come
Mm-hmm.
every day, all day. But Christine, as my friend, her spirit clearly left. I want to say when she had these babies, she left. Christine left,
Mm-hmm.
not the
Yeah.
bird.
Mm-hmm.
So the birds they're used to coming here and they trust me. So they still come. But
Oh,
sorry, but
it's
she
okay.
left. She left.
Mhm.
And I could tell because the hopping was gone. And hopping was her signature move. Hopping and dancing was a signature
Oh.
move. And when she stopped, I knew. I knew.
Hmm.
And so this bird comes, gets worms, leaves, but there's been not a single hop since
Mm.
Christine decided to go to the light. She
Mhm.
was done. She did what she needed to do. She helped me with some of my personal stuff, my business stuff that I asked her for help on. She did what she needed to do, and the journey, that part of the journey was done. And so so then she said her goodbyes
She just
at
loved
that
you
point.
so much. Wow.
Yeah.
To
So
come
that
back
went on
like that.
February, March, April. So like 4 months, 4 or 5 months she did it. I mean, who gets that? Who's
No
lucky
one.
enough to have that?
You had a very special bond with your friend.
I had a I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of friends. Didn't then, don't now. And she was, yeah, she was definitely a special lady. What was interesting was after she left, one of her babies, or I think it's one of her babies, or at least one of the group that comes that looks I mean, I think it's one of her babies. Um it it was a baby, and it picked up the bell and rang the bell for food. Did you know that?
Oh
I
my
posted a
gosh.
video,
I
and
did not see that one. Oh my goodness.
I never did that with the babies. I have no idea at all how how other than I was thinking to myself, I tried to get Christine to do it like twice over the course of the year, and she wasn't, I mean, there was no interest, nothing. So I just left the bells sitting on the chair and I just forgot about them. And one of her babies, shortly after she departed, one of her babies just reached down, picked up, and rang the bell at lunchtime. And I thought, what, what is this? What
Hmm.
is this? It was
That
crazy.
is
So I don't know what to
interesting.
make. Isn't that weird? But only a couple
Yes.
times and then not again. So I don't know, but what I do know is that it's a miracle. I'm very, very lucky. I'm glad I had the good sense to believe. And you'll appreciate this. If you're not gonna believe, don't ask.
That's right.
Right?
Right?
Why did I ask her if I'm not gonna lean into it? Right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And she made it so obvious between, dancing. I would break a sweat. We would dance and hop and crazy. So um she helped me believe, she helped me heal, she helped me figure out the next step in my life while not even being physically here. That's a powerful lady.
Yeah, very powerful. And Diana, how did it change you now? So I see and I feel from you that this was a pretty much a wow thing for you, starting it with the dog and then now your friend. And so where do you sit with all of this now? And I'm also curious about your husband, where he sits with this now, because we before before recording, we were talking about it, that he wasn't really a believer.
No. Um, so where I stand now is um losing her, and I don't mean the physically, that's a given.
Mhm.
Losing her in this form was almost, for whatever reason, harder than losing her the first time. Um,
Hmm.
I
No,
don't
no,
know
no.
why that
Thank you.
is. I think it's
Mhm.
because I feel like we were connected on such an incredible level. And I knew it was rare, and I knew it was a gift, and I knew it was a miracle, and I knew it was special, and
Yeah.
I knew, so when she left, I was heartbroken. I mean, of course, when she left
Mhm.
physically, without question, but I was heartbroken, and I know it couldn't go on forever, and I'm grateful for what we had.
Mhm.
Um, but now I can't bring myself to take the chairs away. I can't bring myself to stop feeding the family. Um, I I think I keep hoping, and I half expect that there will come a time, and it probably won't be until next year, that I'll suddenly see her hopping. Like she'll make an appearance. And I want to be ready for it just in case.
Mhm.
So that's where we are now,
And your
in terms of
husband?
that. And my husband is concerned about how much money I spend on worms. Um, but he absolutely supported this as a man of science, as a veterinarian. Um, he had no doubt. And I even would say to him sometimes, are you just supporting that? When I would be gone for the day or something, he would make sure that he met her at the window. He would give her and Nick and whatever breakfast. So he made sure. And I said, I need to know how much you're doing this because you love me, and how much you're doing it because you believe it's Christine. And he goes, there's no question. There is no question. And like I told you, he said, if you ask me in public, I'm going to tell you I do not believe. But I know. And he would say, I would be down the hall and I'd hear, hi, Chris, morning. Not in that high of a voice, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, or he would try to hand feed her. And I mean, and he would talk to her too. And as a man of science, he begrudgingly, absolutely, without question, believed that it was her.
Wow.
Knew it was her. Knew it was her. We were just incredibly, incredibly blessed. And to know Christine is to know that it's not that unexpected. And Christine was over the top. Her house at Christmas was like Christmas exploded. It was, I mean, she
Mm.
did everything to the nth. When she would come to our nonprofit fundraisers, because we had an animal welfare nonprofit. That's how I met her. And she would go dress up to the nines. And so to know Christine is she never did anything like this. It was always like this, always. And so why would her visiting from the other side be any different? Right? I hear her. You wanted me to visit? You wanted me to tap? Oh, I'll tap. Oh, I'm gonna do it. There. Now you can't, there's no way you can say it wasn't me. Like I hear her in my head. You wanted me to show you? Oh, I showed you. I showed you. And she loved TikTok, by the way. She was a huge
Did
TikTok
she?
fan.
I
So
loved her with the turkeys.
right? That was, I mean, so now I sort of have that with her. I don't have wild turkeys here because I have a fence, they can't get
Mhm.
in. But so she took my situation that we had, and she figured out how to make it work, and n- I'll never forget it. I'll be grateful for every one of her, probably, I want to say, 10,000 visits. And I will always be grateful for her helping me not be so afraid of what's to come.
Do you think that was the lesson in it for you?
Believe it or not, I don't. I actually think there was a lesson there. She was always concerned about my self-esteem, my confidence, she was one of my biggest
Mhm.
fans.
Oh.
And I actually think, please don't think I'm shallow for this. I actually think she wanted me to become viral on TikTok. I'm not even joking. I know she did because we talked about it. And I think she wanted to give me a platform. I think she wanted me to be, she always loved the way I spoke at my fundraisers, and she always felt I should be in front of people. And
Oh.
I think in her weird way, that was her initial message. And then I think her message was more of, Diana, get out of this fear and lack of self-confidence, and you can do this. And the truth is, it did give me confidence and comfort to pursue other avenues in my life that are now becoming really successful. And
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
I deeply believe she had a hand in that. Deeply. So I guess the
I'm
message
so
kind of,
happy.
right? And to
Mhm.
and I could just, to know Chris is to know, of course, she's given me lessons and projects and homework and all the things, even if she's not physically here.
And you know what I love about your story too is that she loved you for just exactly who you were, not who you were pretending. You didn't have to be. You were just you, and she loved that about you. I love that about this story. That is a very special person, and not a lot
Yeah.
of people can be like that, you know.
Yeah.
And you were very fortunate to have that, and so was she, to just have you be her friend and be yourself as well, right?
Yeah, it was, she was a lot older than I am. And, but it was that sort of, I'm her daughter's age, but it was just nurturing and loving. And she was just my favorite person.
Mm.
She was my favorite person here. Like I said, I work from home. I don't have a lot of people. And she was just someone I really, really trusted. And I'm just not even remotely surprised that she figured it out and, was one of the first in her club, to like figure out how to connect uh, post transition, right? That was just Christine. And I'm very, very, very lucky. And hopefully I'll continue just to be this open channel for that. And and I hope to see her again. Like I said, I see the birds every day, but I hope she'll come back and say
She
hello.
will. She will.
From your
Absolutely will.
lips to God's ear, from your lips to
Mhm.
Christine's ears.
That's right. That's right. Do you have a message that you could give to the audience listening? Maybe something that you may have learned or something to give the audience hope around, well, I mean, your friend Christine came back as a bird. That's a lot of
Think
hope.
I know, and the reason I think that it was successful was because I was specific in my ask.
Mhm.
And so while, hummingbirds, dragonflies, all of those things, right, are great for me because I am um not that I'm not a believer, but I don't live in that headspace. I need specificity. And so if you are not like that and you really are just open to all the things and don't want to put demands on them, then you say hummingbird, blue jay, whatever that is. But I needed that. And so if you're the
Mhm.
kind of person that really needs it to be clear and to have no doubts, I would say be as specific as you can be if you make that request. And of course, you can't say, please come back as a purple ladybug, right? You have to make it reasonable, right? Um, but I do think being a little more specific is not for them, right? It's so that you don't have to keep questioning. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful because she was so clear and so specific. I did not question for a millisecond, which then made it much easier for her to communicate and much easier for her to continue, and probably much more um, fulfilling for her to continue, because I think they really appreciate that recognition. And so it's kind of the case of help me help you. And so that's sort of the more tactical message that I would
Mm-hmm.
give
I like that.
is having that. And just in terms of the lesson that I walked away with is I'm enough, believe it or not.
Yes, you
That's what
are.
I walked away with.
Yes, you sure are.
Sorry.
Hmm. That's
Thank you.
okay, but you are. I'm glad you know that. I'm really glad you know that. It's
Thank you.
important.
Yeah, thanks
Mm,
to Chris. You know what I mean? I believe in that it- it's
mm,
just allowing yourself to to feel and allowing yourself to appreciate these things. It's kooky and it's weird and people don't understand it.
mhm.
Um and I just all I can say is when you create the environment for it to happen, it happens. So,
Diana, I would like to thank you for sharing your beautiful story. You got me crying here. Thank you for sharing your beautiful story of love that continues beyond what we can actually see and witness, a friendship that truly takes flight. Your story brings so much hope and light into the world. And to my listeners, may this story remind you that love is never lost, even when we cannot see it. And may you take comfort in knowing that the bonds we share are timeless and the love we give continues on. And until next time, stay open, stay curious, and keep returning to the truth within you.